Hi everyone. Sorry, for some reason I'm always still trying to figure out this tech thing, but we'll get there one day. I'm so excited to be chatting with Cher this evening. She's going to be sharing so much with us and we're just going to dive into it. Welcome, Cher. Thank you so much for taking out of your busy schedule to come sit with us. How are you?
Hi, Hawa. Hello. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me. I'm very excited about this conversation.
Fantastic. So, if someone were to ask you, like, before the titles and the roles, who are you? Who are you at your core? What would you say?
I think I'm just a young woman who is just trying to contribute my quota to making the world a better place. Especially for women who are disadvantaged. And I'll say that at my core, I think very intellectually independent. I'm someone who makes my decisions not based on popular opinions, but based on my own convictions, my values, facts, evidences, and all that. And I think um, growing up kind of helped me reach that because I lived in a house and with a father that encouraged us to disagree. You could literally tell my dad he was wrong if you had evidence to back it up. So
Hmm.
some way just kind of formed, you know, um, a major part of my core. And I'll say that, a lot of people tell me it's an admirable trait because, but there are also other people that always want me to. They rather have me follow popular opinions or make decisions based on what's trending or whatnot and all that. Aside from that, I'll say I'm very curious, and I've always been, even as a child, I just want to understand things. Or why is this that? Why are systems like this? Why can't everyone go to school? Why can't people have the same opportunities and all that? So I've just been I'm very curious at heart. And I'm just someone who is very compassionate. And that's part of the reason why I do the work that I do. So it's at my core, I'm just a compassionate, curious and intellectually independent woman who is just trying to, contribute my own little quota to the world better people with
I love that.
that I
Yeah.
have.
Yeah, I love that. I think curiosity is such an amazing quality to have and to continue to hold on to. Because, like you said, lots of people want you to kind of like follow the crowd instead of, trying out things your own way. And I think the more the world evolves and changes, authenticity, uniqueness, is such an underrated skill. And I think curiosity is part of what helps you remain true to yourself because you're trying things out instead of just kind of taking on what other people are telling you to do. You're thinking on your own and you're trying different ideas. That's how creativity kind of grows and blossoms. So thank you for sharing that. So, but you shared a bit about your background and the big
Mm.
impact that your dad has had on you growing up. But looking back, what season or moment first made you aware that your path might be different and bigger than you thought it would be?
I wouldn't say there was one defining moment. I'll say that, it's just a couple of little things here and there. But the major one is majorly my lived experience. I grew up in Ilorin. Ilorin is a small town. And while my parents were comfortable, we're in a community where you could literally see other people struggling. You
Mm,
People who couldn't afford to feed, they couldn't afford healthcare, they couldn't afford to send their kids to school. And there were even some that, okay, they managed to send them up onto a point, and then some of them had to drop out. So for me, I think I was, like I said, I was a curious child, just wondering why are these people, why is this happening to others? Why do we have food? Why do we have a car and others don't? And I just wanted, to change that.
mm,
And growing up, I realized that, compassion doesn't change people's lives. It's systems that does that.
mm,
So it kind of started making me want to, do more. I started looking for opportunities. Okay, what can I do? And I started my first job at GT Bank. And on the very first day, one of the top execs came to school and he was asking us, "What do you think GT Bank's objective is?" And I was like, and people were talking, "Oh, financial intermediation, financial inclusion, designing financial products and services." And he just looked at us and said, "See, Guarantee Trust Bank is in the business of making money."
One.
And that got me thinking because it's something I've never forgotten. That got me thinking. I was like, okay, if money or profit is the motive, it means there are a lot of things that won't get done. And trust me, judging the motive, because of course you have to make money. You have to give interest on depositors' funds. You have to pay your overheads and salaries and ensure that you're going concern generally.
Mm,
How, there are certain things you can't do if profit is the main motive
mm,
that play out because there are people who needed help, who wanted to do one or two things. And because it was not profitable, the bank could not go out of their mandates to do that.
yeah.
Moving to central bank, I was so excited. I felt like, oh, now I'm in a policy space and then we can do more. And of course, you could do better than being in the private sector and all that. However, you're still just a mandate agency. You have
Mm,
your sphere of influence and you can only operate within it. And there are endemic issues like poverty that cuts across various sectors, and
mm,
you might not necessarily have the power solely to do that. And honestly, that has been what has kind of kept making me feel because from one place to another, I just kept realizing that, oh, I needed to do more. I needed a bigger
mm,
needed a space where I can influence systems, design initiatives and policies to kind of address some of the issues that I've seen affect people around me.
mm.
Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing. I think that that's really admirable, like constantly looking for the opportunities to add value, not just to your institution where you're employed, but to like the grander scheme of the struggles that the everyday man faces. And I can see that perhaps is what you saw growing up. It kind of stayed with you, those people struggling. You wanted to find a way to make lives better for them.
They were quite close, and then it's not everybody you can help. So
Yeah.
no matter how much you have, it would be nicer if systems worked better. People had access to free, affordable healthcare, education. People had access to finances or, trainings and all that they needed at little cost to thrive, even if probably they didn't have education.
Yeah.
Basic thing.
Yeah. I remember something that I overheard one day a few years ago where he said something about how sometimes poverty can strip people of their dignity. And I see as you're talking about like having systems in place that kind of is almost like a level playing field. Like it keeps people's dignity in like at heart. They're not having to like beg or put themselves in unfortunate situations just because they don't have. If you can create a system that gives them a chance, a fighting chance, then they will do better.
Yeah.
Hopefully, the society gets better too.
And then once there's a system that like there's everybody starts on a level playing field, people can, get to the same outcome regardless of maybe their status, regardless of whether you lived in a rural community or you lived in an urban area, regardless of your gender,
Yeah,
Those are the issues, yeah.
yeah. Okay, so what belief about yourself or your journey did you have to confront in order to rise? Because you've obviously transitioned from, the banking sector to really going into government, and then you went to your to for your master's in Oxford. Like at each point, I'm sure like you hit a bit of a roadblock and felt like, okay, I need to push myself more. What really kind of helped you through that journey? Just kind of speaking to someone that wants to climb up and do better for themselves and contribute to society, but then it's feeling like I've kind of hit my max. This is my roof. How do you help them? What can you say to help them, like, push themselves more?
I'll say that you have to. One of the things I had to confront was, thinking that I had to be fully ready to,
Mm,
and I see, and this is not me. I'm not celebrating mediocrity or halfway measures or ideas that are not well thought of. I was the type of person that would always, if we are giving marks, maybe want to score 90 first before or 95 before I feel like, it's something worth discussing.
mm,
Really realized that it was kind of a very limiting factor. And it's coming, a lot of times it's coming from a place of not even really feeling enough or feeling like you have what to offer. So you just are looking for it to be perfect, to be complete. And
mm.
even discussing with peers, I find that, a lot of women feel that way. And I had to confront that, I don't have to have everything that I need to do what I want to do. I'll start with what I have, I'll build on it. Of course, I'm not saying just leave yourself, don't build competencies and all that, but understand that you can, and start from what you have. Don't wait for it to be perfect. Don't wait that you have to be fully ready. Mastery and perfection comes from doing. So you just have to, you just have to to step out and
Yeah.
get it done. And also another thing was, we live in a society where there are a lot of gender stereotypes.
Mm,
If you want to move past where you are to where you want to be, you have to kind of, confront those gender stereotypes. Sometimes they are subtle, sometimes it's not someone placing even a demand on you or even society. Sometimes it's even your belief about, okay,
yeah.
I'm a woman. Am I supposed to be this ambitious? Am I supposed to want what I want? Am I supposed to, for example, I was married when I went to school, and I could have thought that, okay, it's not long I got married. Am I supposed to be doing this? And I'm not trying to discredit the institution to say you can just do what you want. No, I'm just saying that, there are a lot of things that you have to think about in your mind and understand that sometimes those things are wrapped around gender stereotypes of where you think you should be. And
Yeah.
for you to move to the next level of the things that you need to do, you need to break those things. You need to, think about them and not be bothered about them. And
Yeah.
there are also stereotypes of that society has placed. Oh, getting married maybe at a particular age.
Yeah.
30 is like the death sentence for women, or used to be. And then having
Yeah.
children but I know this is a Christian platform. The Bible tells us that Sarah had a child at 90. So I think that there are no timelines, for things. And a lot of gender stereotypes are built around when or why or how women
Mm,
will be doing things.
yeah. Yeah. That's so good because, I think a lot of the people that I know, most of us got married after 30. So for anyone that's watching now, you're gonna be okay. Don't worry about that. I don't know. I think it's when you get to 25, all of a sudden something clicks.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous to be honest with
Let
you.
me so let me just make you laugh a bit. By someone I know, a senior person called me. I was like, oh, like there's one lady and all that, like, oh, they're praying for. I said, how old is she? She said, she's 26. I said, she's still a young girl. I'm like,
They're
um,
already
do
doing prayer and fasting.
you understand? I'm like, no, it
Yeah,
can't be that serious.
yeah,
But like,
yeah.
let's move to the
Yeah, it's those subtle things can really make you put yourself in a box to try
Mhm,
to
mhm.
get some.
And then one of the things I realized is that a lot of times when you kind of put yourself in the box, not if you don't do the things you want to do when you want to do them, you allow society and pressure to get you to do those things. You end up making, decisions that you may regret further down. And trust me, society is not going to come and help you, or people are not going to come and say, oh, it was pressure, or
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Honestly, anytime I have a conversation with a young person and they're kind of wanting me to help them make a choice, I say, look, at the end of the day, you have to live with the consequences of your
Mhm.
actions.
Mhm.
If you want to make a choice, don't worry about what anybody else is saying.
Yeah.
Fears, just kind of focus. If you can hone in on what it is you actually even want out of life, where you want to grow, and then start making the choices that align you to that path, that's all that matters.
No
Forget
problem.
about all the outside pressures. At the end of the day, you have to live with yourself, right?
And you know the funny thing, even when you do make, it's more painful when you make a wrong decision and it's someone that made you do it than when it was your own decision.
Exactly.
Like you live with yourself better when you know that, okay, at the time maybe I thought that this was the best thing to do, than, oh, can you imagine? Like, in fact, sometimes people that pressure you, they won't even remember that they told
Yep.
you anything
Yeah,
later down the line.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's Yeah. And I know for someone watching, you're probably thinking, oh, we're making it sound easier than it is.
Mhm.
Yes, it sounds easier when you're talking about it, but when you're living it out, I know it can be quite difficult, but it's actually worth it. Like Shaya has said it, I've said it, there's so many people that have said it. It's actually absolutely worth the risk. And what's the worst that could happen? You make a choice to go to school or to try out a career, it doesn't quite work out. But I don't believe that there's any experience that's wasted. I think all of it is kind of like a compounding effect. It adds value
Yeah,
one
yeah,
way or another.
yeah.
So the best bet is for you to just make a move instead of freezing in fear or being afraid of, oh, what if, what if, what if, what if? There's 1,000 what ifs, but you'll never know until you try.
You never know, man.
Right? And we need more women in,
And the world is not even. One of the things I've gotten to realize of late is I think the world generally just favors the courageous and bold.
yeah, absolutely.
The people who step out to do. There are a lot of people who know things, who have more deep knowledge and all that, and may not necessarily have the courage to step up.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Fortune favors the brave. And brave
Mhm.
or courageous doesn't mean that you don't feel fear. It just means that
Yeah.
step out even
You
though you're being afraid.
Yeah, you just your sense of purpose is what is giving you the courage, and
Yeah,
that supersedes the fear that you feel.
yeah, yeah. And the more, like you said, execution, implementation, that's where you get what's it called? How
Mastery.
do you phrase it? Mastery, yes. There's
Mhm.
no way to become a master by just sitting there and
By
reading and
not
watching
willing to
YouTube
look like
videos.
a beginner or a learner.
Yeah,
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 yeah.
because
So
the
true.
master was once a learner anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
Hmm.
so true. This kind of really segues us into our next question. I feel like you've kind of touched on it a bit, but like, what really helped you step into that courage? Like, were you struggling with fear, and then what like kind of clicked for you? Or was it like a series of things that made you just feel like, you know what, I'm not going to be afraid anymore. I'm just going to do it, or I'm just going to go for it.
I mentioned earlier about, having that purpose, that passion that drives, like, your purpose and all that.
Yeah.
And I got to the point that I realized that to do the things that you want to do, it's never convenient. Impact is rarely convenient.
Mm,
You just have to step out of your comfort zone. It's going to stretch you,
mm,
so you have to have the courage to that realization of first realizing that, okay, impact or getting the things that I want or getting the things I want to get done is never going to be convenient. You now have to have the courage to do the things that you need to do, stretch yourself. If it means learning, if it means relearning, if it means changing things, moving things around, getting a skill, fine tuning something, toning down something in yourself or your character or something, you just have to do it. It will never be convenient. So, understanding that it will never be convenient is the basis for, realizing that you need to find that courage to do the things that are inconvenient, that will take
mm.
you to the place that you want to go to, because get access to maybe the next level of whatever it is that you are doing takes courage, and it is never it is never a convenient or an easy thing to do.
Yeah, yeah. So good. So share with us a moment in your own personal journey where you had to choose that like growth over convenience or comfort. Would love to hear.
Okay, so for me, I think that even my current role is just that, to be honest, because I had a job. I had a job, that was familiar, I'd gotten like I understood the job, the demands of the job, had gotten mastery,
Mm,
had a community, had colleagues that, we enjoyed working with each other together, had networks and mentors, and it was a convenient thing, to be honest. I didn't have to leave that. But I realized that, there were things I needed to do, like I mentioned, just see if, oh, there was more out there. There were, there was a bigger platform for me to kind of, follow my passion and try to have more impact. And
mm,
I just had to choose that, to be honest. So
yeah.
I literally moved from a place with structure,
Mm,
everything, the next thing that is going to happen. You have like a definite work plan. Like you literally can know what you can do this, you are going to do this month. It helps you plan better, to a place where, we had just started. There were so many things that weren't in place. We didn't have laid down policies and procedures. So we had to get innovative and creative to create things that we needed to work on,
mm,
like central bank where I was coming from, where everything was already exist. Of course, people will improve on it, but
yeah.
there were a lot of things that were existing already. So it was literally moving out of my comfort zone. And then I moved to from a place where I had my own community and colleagues to a place where, a new place generally. Everybody's, trying to find out who figure out who the other person is. So, at the initial stage, there are a lot of frictions, not necessarily fights and all that, but people just trying to understand or get the hang of working together. So I left a place where I had gone through that and mastered, and now had, it was easy breezy for me, to be honest. And yeah, but I had to choose it because I realized that it was a platform that I wanted and needed to do the
Mm,
things that I had always wanted to do. Yeah.
amazing. So you got a chance in this new place, and I guess you got a chance to kind of build build from scratch and
Yes,
create your
yes.
own unique
Yeah.
things on it instead of
Then
just
build with people.
yeah.
It's actually an interesting thing
Mm,
because you had to build with people. Like for example, where I was coming from, you can still build things, but you are building on things.
on yeah.
But here you had to like work with people you are just meeting to build something, design, you get. So
Yeah.
it was quite interesting, to be honest.
Mm.
Challenging but interesting.
Yeah, so you got to flex the muscles and gain some new skills and become
Idea
say all over
compulsory.
again. Yeah, that's so
Compulsory, like
amazing.
we mentioned, growth is never easy. So you just had to, because that was you needed to grow at the time to
Yeah,
meet up. Yeah.
yeah, that's really good. I love that intentionality because I think sometimes opportunities will come our way where we get a chance to grow, but there are some times where we have to intentionally put ourselves in those positions, even if it's applying for a new job or if an opening pops up in the office, like putting your hat in the in
Mm-hmm.
the face and saying, I would like to apply for this,
Yeah.
or even starting your own brand new thing. Like they're always saying, if you can't find a seat at the table, like create your own table. So there's just like many different ways. Mm.
Most times, there's no seat at the table.
It's full.
The
Yeah,
world maybe our parents' time, there were different seats because there are so many people that, even the level of education then, like a lot of women were not even going to school to start with. So once people left university, there were jobs waiting
yeah,
to get. So I think the world has changed drastically. Yeah.
yeah. You kind of have to stay sharp to stay relevant.
Mm.
You have to keep innovating. It's okay. I've learned so many things as well, just like starting my own business or having my own charity because there's so many people, like there's so many competing priorities for a limited pot. So You just have to keep being creative to continue to show that there's something unique that you have to offer. You have a unique,
Yeah. And then when you mention it, I think
otherwise,
when you mention it, I think your uniqueness is actually your major selling point, because a lot of people are doing the same things, but
yeah,
they would be doing it in different ways.
yeah,
And that's part of why, you need you need to be independent in your thinking. You need to, embrace the you. You're not the you that is not up to stand, like the higher version of you. Like, of
yeah,
course, you would have tried to, build up some skill, refine some character and all that, but embracing you is actually the superpower. That's what differentiates you. So,
absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. I wish I could preach that like a million times because I think when you're younger, maybe because you're not feeling as confident or as certain of yourself, you're constantly trying to compare yourself with others or
Mhm.
trying to copy what other people are doing. But you just end up making a fool of yourself, for lack of a better word, because no matter how good you are at copying someone, you can never be as good as
Yeah,
the
that's the
original.
original.
Exactly. So
I mean, the funny thing is, I find that, your genetic makeup, like the way you are built, is for a reason.
yeah,
Can't be
absolutely.
somebody else. You
Yeah,
just have to be yourself. And I'm not trying to say don't improve, but when I say be yourself, it's not
yeah,
the you that is not
yeah,
refined or improving or, advancing. You have to be the best version of yourself
yeah,
and realize that that is enough for you.
yeah. Yeah, I remember someone telling me, or maybe I read it somewhere. They said, look, if you're a fan or like an AC air conditioner and someone wants like a heater, no matter how low you put your temperature, you're just never going to be a good enough heater. So like when you find yourselves in situations where like
That's a
you're
very good analogy.
honestly, because you end up just killing yourself.
Yeah.
And this applies across all kinds of like situations. If you're leaning, growing, and working on yourself, and the people or the situations you find yourself in are not giving you good feedback, or they keep asking you to do something else or be someone else, you just need to kind of exit from
Yeah.
the situation, because honestly, if you continue to remain in spaces like that, you keep thinking that there's something wrong with you. You're not good
Yeah.
enough. That affects your confidence, affects your ability to function and show up properly because you're constantly second guessing yourself. It
Yourself.
just doesn't work.
Or even if you're not, you could even be someone who, okay, you're just managing, but then you find that you never fulfill your own purpose. You'll
Mm,
be rented to be building
mm,
or someone else's life or purpose or whatever it is. Do you get?
yeah.
So you always, you may not be unhappy there, but you will not be fulfilled, like,
Mm,
because you're not aligning with your own purpose.
yeah, absolutely. And the honest truth is that if you want to do great things, if you want to like really push yourself, it's best to kind of align with what is your own purpose. Because, like you said, growth is uncomfortable, it's inconvenient. There's going to be lots of moments where like you're just tired, but you have to keep going because that passion, that purpose is burning in your chest. But if you're in a situation where the purpose is misaligned, I think it can really very easily lead to burnout. It can very easily lead to you just not being able to take big choices or big chances because there's no motivation there.
And I think you're even happier when you're living your purpose, when you're excited about the things that you do. I think
Yeah.
one of the happiest persons that I know in terms of work was my dad. Sorry that I'm having to mention him a lot.
Oh, absolutely fine. That's
Like,
fine.
my dad would literally, even at 79, you wake up like 7 o'clock, he's already going to, like, he's happy doing his job. He didn't, he was more like a passion. That was what came naturally to him. That's
Mm,
what he's done all his life.
yeah.
And he's very excited about it. You see the passion and the excitement and the happiness, and you're like, you know
Yeah.
what? I need this in my life.
Right.
Work doesn't feel like work,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
cracking jokes. And in fact, if you meet him and you not necessarily take him serious because it's
Yeah.
always very, like
Yeah.
joking and all that. Yeah.
And the world needs a lot more of that. Honestly, I think the world would be a much better place if more people were happy and fulfilled in what they were
Yeah.
doing. Wouldn't sabotage others. They would just, go on happy-go-lucky and do what,
Yeah.
and everyone would have a much better time. So, yeah,
And
it's
everyone will be
absolutely
doing like the world will even be better because there will be more unique things happening because everybody is pulling from within,
yeah.
and that would be a lot of value added.
So good. I always say, look, if Steve Jobs can build Apple and all of us are using the iPhone and all the different products, like why not you? Why everyone else has a unique skill. It's just that he stuck with his
Yeah.
idea too. It wasn't easy for him at the start. We're looking and we're seeing what's it called? The legacy of all the work that he did. But there were many periods on the journey where he hit a roadblock. But because
Yeah.
that passion was there, that like strong desire was there. He never gave up. He kept pushing and pushing and pushing.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying this to say like don't like take breaks because there's a time and place for everything. But like because the journey is long, most of the big dreams that you have will take a lifetime to fulfill. You do need something that will help you have staying power. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you just have to trust your process and your timing to be. Oh yeah, that's it. You even talk even things like electricity. If those people, those inventors never persisted,
Right.
maybe we'll still be in darkness by now.
Right.
So
Every
Edison will probably be like, you know what? I think this electricity thing is too much for it. Didn't work. Oh, let me move.
Yeah,
Let me move
yeah,
on to something else. Yeah.
so good. And then we'll never know his name.
Yeah.
Probably somebody else would have figured it out after, and then he'll
Yeah.
now be saying, "Oh, I was so close. I wish I had."
Almost doesn't count.
I know. There's this funny phrase they used to say in secondary. They say, "Had I known, he's a brother of his two mates." So, yeah. Okay. Let's go back to the questions. So how did preparation, your studies, your experiences, or any challenges, how did they shape the leader that you are becoming?
I think okay, so basically I think let me start from my studies. I think I studied economics,
Mm,
I'm a chartered accountant, both
mm,
of us were on the journey together.
yeah.
So I think those my education kind of gave me basic understanding of certain things like economics, household income, and stuff like that. Accounting, financial statements analysis, financial programming and stuff like that. Although I don't do a lot of these things anymore directly, because
Yeah.
I pivoted to policy.
Yeah.
And when I started my when I joined the central bank, I had always wanted to be in financial inclusion. Like development finance was something I wanted to do,
Mm,
and I tried to move to the department that was doing that, and it wasn't really possible. In my organization, it's kind of very difficult. No, I don't want to say difficult, but not very easy to move and all that. And the role I was in, I wasn't a square peg in a round hole. I was a chartered accountant in an audit department, so that I was meant to be there. You
mm,
For me, it was no longer about my what I studied or the qualifications I had. It was more about the passion that I had, and then the impact I was looking to make and all that. So I tried, and it didn't work. So I told myself, you know what, maybe you need to take a break and probably go and get some level of education around this, and then
mm,
by the time you get back you would be able to, play, you'll be able to probably even pivot and all that. And that's what I did. And what that has done for me is, I have experience, I have basic I don't want to use the word basic, but knowledge across economics, accounting,
Yeah.
policy, you know. And where I work, at the national level, you need knowledge across
Yeah.
across, so it's never like a waste. That's on the education part. Experience. I started my career at Guarantee Trust Bank, and that kind of helps me understand things from the private sector, understanding the financial service sector, understanding what people want, what they need, understanding micro and small, medium scale enterprises and
Yeah.
of the challenges that they face and all that. And then even behavioral economics, because we managed people and, shout out to GT Bank. There were a lot of things that we learned that it wasn't like we were taught, but on
Yeah.
the job you just had to. You may not even realize you were learning those things,
Mm.
and somehow, some way, you just get on the skills, you manage customers, understand a lot of things and all that. And then I moved to a regulatory agency where we're looking at an ecosystem view of things. Central bank is about financial system stability. So it's not, one bank, or it's about what is happening,
Yeah.
macroeconomic economic growth, and um, looking at the macroeconomic indicators, inflation, how it affects people's lives and all that. And you realize that there's always a trade-off between one thing or the other, and you have to understand that you have to understand those linkages. And working now at federal government level has just you know the experience I had and the education has kind of helped me, because we're like a stakeholder in the midst of different sectors, and then based on my experiences,
Mm.
I have like a deep understanding of what everybody is all about, what they want,
Yeah.
what their trends are, and it's helped me to um better like kind of drive cross-sectoral collaboration, because you yourself, you understand the stakeholders, you understand
Yeah.
what they always want out of things, and then you know how to align things so that everybody can come together to achieve a collective action. So basically,
Yeah.
I think everything um, helps to shape you, your experiences, even to random courses that you take and all that also help. And then your challenges, I cannot even overemphasize. I'm not glorifying challenges anyway. But the truth is, there are a lot of times when you face challenges, it helps you to grow, because those are like the deepest moments of introspection. Anyway, for me,
Mm.
in your life, when you face a roadblock, or you feel like, oh, how am I going to do this? And you have to sit down, and then you grow, you learn, and
Mm.
everything helps you in, leading better, because you have understanding, you even have empathy, because you've been through certain
Yeah.
things. And when probably someone is working with you and, they are going through the same, or they are struggling, you've been there, you understand it, and it helps you to better lead them. Yeah.
Yeah. That's so good. As you were talking, I was kind of taking notes on my laptop. But I think one of the first things you said that really struck for me is like you kind of identified like, okay, this is where I want to go, and you tried it out. It wasn't quite working. So you said, okay, what can I do to give myself an edge? Do I need
Yeah.
to go back to school, whatever? And you did that. You took that step and you did that. And then the other thing I really liked was about kind of like transferable skills, like every experience, every
Mhm.
course,
Mhm.
everything, even if you don't even know what you're doing while you're doing it, like they all still kind of come together and sharpen your edge and give you a unique um flavor that helps you serve like your audience or fix the problem that you're really working towards. Because sometimes people get caught up in like what's that thing called? I don't remember what it's called, but like trying to make a choice and then oh, if I make this choice, what if this, if I make this choice, and then they get like overwhelmed and don't actually take any steps. So it's like you might not know what you're doing at the moment, but just take a step, right? That course, that program, that school, that experience, that job, that business, no matter how long you do it, if you can find a way to like learn from it, like when you were saying in GT Bank, they didn't actively try to teach you some things, but you learned it on the job because of the peculiarities of the work. And
Yeah.
so it's like figuring out how to link everything together. And sometimes it's just one of those things where you're not trying to be strategic. It's just, you find yourself in a new space and you start remembering all the
Yeah.
things you've really learned and the things you've experienced. And it's just amazing how it all kind of comes together.
And then the funny thing is, at the point when you are when you are learning, you never realize that you're. Sometimes you don't even realize that you're learning those things, or you don't, or you might even realize that you're learning those things. But you're like, don't do what now? What do I? Do you get
Yeah,
my point? Like,
yeah,
then you now go to a place and you realize that okay, so this is
yeah,
actually very relevant. So this thing that I took for granted, it's not like common knowledge, or yeah.
yeah.
So,
That's so good. Um, So I think I'm going to skip the next question because I feel like you've kind of touched on it. That was supposed to be like, what does open for you?
yeah.
Because you're willing to take imperfect but intentional steps. But I feel like everything you've shared has kind of shown that as you kept taking steps, doors open for you because you were willing to try and be a student. And then as you kept doing it, you're becoming a master. And I think that that is such an important lesson for everyone. Like doors are going to open if you knock, if you try. But if you stand there, like no one's going to even going to know that you're actually trying to get into those doors.
And the thing is, even when you knock and it doesn't open, a lot of times it's also
Yeah.
a learning process.
Hmm.
You retreat, you re-strategize, then you relaunch again.
Hmm.
And sometimes that door you're knocking may not open. And then another one that you didn't even know or think about, which probably will even be better or more
Hmm.
like better for whatever it is you want to do. Now,
Yeah.
but there's no reward for not trying, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so good.
Yeah.
As we were talking, I just kind of started thinking of like scarcity mindset. And I think sometimes that's what makes some people afraid. It's like, if I leave this place that I am, or if I try something else, then if that one fails, then I've lost out on this one. But
Mhm.
honestly, I think that there's just so many limitless possibilities, especially in the world that we live in today. Like the things that people are doing for a career now did not exist like 5 years
I
ago, even
yeah,
3 years ago. So
tell
like there's
me
so
about
many.
it. I want to tell you, I'm going to just you something. So I remember when I wanted to, okay, so I used to like sketch designs when I was like in SS3 and all that. Like, so they give us maybe want to make something for Christmas. I have in my head, I'll be sketching. This is what I want my tailors to make. I still do that sometimes anyway. And then my brother now looked at me. I was like, you this girl, you're supposed to be studying fashion, oh, like you get. So he was not like, okay, let's go and tell daddy now. So we told my dad wanted to have a meeting with him. So we went to meet him, and my brother was like, we're thinking that I was even so ambitious. I wanted to go to London Fashion School.
Aw.
And then I was like, oh, I wanted to. And then my dad was like, see, I'm not against your ambition, but the reality, and that was the reality at then was that
Yeah.
you want to do with
Mm,
this. You can go to school, study what you want to study. When you finish, and then you have the skill to, get the jobs that are available, you can now decide that okay,
mm,
this is a second thing I want to do. But the basic thing is is um is getting like a getting prepared for like a white collar job and all
yeah.
that. And that's what I did. And for me, I feel like, if it was the present world that we're living in, of course, I probably would have gone there and it wouldn't be a case of, okay, what do you want? You want to be. Then fashion design was like just
Yeah.
paying, and then it wasn't even how much were we paying for people
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
but even Nigerian designers, the value that they are getting for there's Vicky James, there are a lot of people that are designing things and they are living on it. And while I was growing up, that was not the case. It didn't
Yeah.
seem like So just to buttress your point, there are a lot of things that even social media influencing and all that, like people just, and for me, I find that some of those things now that are solely based on, what you can do naturally, it's
Mm.
very easy for you to enjoy
Yeah,
your job.
yeah,
Someone is just generally just, you just love fashion, you're just
yeah.
designing, wearing clothes, and you make money from it. What can be
What can
nice
be better
that,
than
you
that?
know, you like
Yeah,
talking or you like critiquing things, and then you're on a channel and then you're just
yeah,
about stuff, and it costs you literally no, like, that's just who you are.
yeah,
So I think a lot of jobs, people's expressions are finding jobs, and like the world has evolved in a way that,
yeah.
expressions can be harnessed to
Mm.
for income and all, and even lifetime jobs and all that.
Yeah,
It keeps even getting better and better. I want to believe that when our kids are grown and all, there will even be more things that we're not even thinking about now.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. And you never know, maybe in future you might still use that skill.
I'm
Don't,
thinking about
right? You really never know.
one customer already on this call.
Actually, I do remember that you never kind of like buy things. You want it to be made for you,
Yeah.
custom made. So yeah, you still have that for sure. You never know. We can chat after.
Side
But
hustle. Very side hustle.
actually, look, honestly, people back in the days, it felt like you had to be one thing and just be that thing. But now, like you can be multi-talented. It's just express yourself, and no one's kind of like forcing you anymore like they used to. Where if you are working for this organ now, you can't do anything else. It's kind of normal now. Like everyone has something else that they're doing on the side. So if you can find a way to balance it, it all works out quite well. Yeah. Um, so when we started this call, Cher was like, what are you going to be talking about for 1 hour? But look at the time. And we haven't even finished our question. So you see, it can be quite fun, right?
Yeah.
So we know that we live in a world where unfortunately things aren't quite balanced in terms of like gender. Um, why do you think inclusion, especially for women and girls, is something that's like a responsibility for you because you've kind of taken it on, and I know you have the program that you're doing in your organization. Why is it something that you think is like really important and should be a responsibility, not just a policy goal?
I think inclusion should be a responsibility, not just even for me, for everybody,
Yeah.
because for us to achieve the maximum things that we have to achieve, everybody in a society,
Hmm.
everybody in a community has to have the skills to contribute to that.
Yeah.
And inclusion, there are different facets to inclusion. There's the economic. Okay, I thought I was present. Okay. There are some economic advantage, has been listed. Um, Nigeria currently loses about $26 billion a year. Sorry, call is disrupt my meeting. Yeah, about $26 billion a year from
Oh,
exploitation from women who,
wow.
because they don't have the right education, they don't have the right skills, they don't have the right financial access, they cannot live up to the potential that they ordinarily would have, and they can't contribute to the economy.
Mm,
6 billion is half of, a little bit over half of the 2025 annual Nigeria's annual budget. So
wow.
imagine if everybody had the power, the skills, the platform,
Mm,
the systems to ensure that they can all achieve something, do something with their lives and contribute.
mm,
That's just on the general level. Then there's the rights and justice angle. Um, women over time, even in like over time, have been kind of marginalized. A lot of opportunities. We are where we are now because of how we started.
mm,
There were times when it was only men that went to school, and then women did not go to school. There were times when oh, the narrative shifted a bit and women did a little bit of schooling because they weren't supposed to know much,
Yeah.
and
Mm.
men could do whatever it is that they wanted. And what that has done is over time, it has kind of affected generations and generations, and there's now like a build up
Yeah.
because the level of exposure, a lot of times, you can have fathers that are exposed, but a lot of times children are more affected by the level of education and exposure of their mothers,
Yeah.
because those are the ones that literally stay with them the most and all that.
Mm. Yeah.
And that's why it is a justice, is a rights issue, is believing that everybody deserves equal opportunities.
Yeah.
And if we're just starting Nigeria now and all that, we can say, okay, well, everybody, but there's already a gap that exists in those.
Mhm.
So it's
Yeah.
our collective responsibility to bridge those gaps so that, we can have happier families, we can have more fulfilled women, we
Mm.
have women that will contribute to the economy more and all that. And then the last thing is women are catalysts, to be honest. Women are catalysts. There's this saying that when women thrive, communities thrive,
Yeah.
nations thrive, even the world thrives, and all that. And if you want to influence even children, influence their mothers. If
Mm.
you want to influence communities, influence the women in those communities. If you want
Yeah.
to shape a narrative, put women at the forefront because
Mm.
they know how to get these things done. You
Mm.
they are rooted in communities. They have wide reach. A woman is in charge of a household, has 4 children, and a lot of decisions are based on what she says, how she says, and what she does, and all that. So I think generally it's not a policy goal. It's
Yeah.
responsibility,
Collective
and it's
responsibility.
justice expressed through systems because there's been historical like injustice in the sense of opportunities that were offered, but so we're just trying to kind of make up and close the gaps
Yeah.
that is. Yes.
Oh, that's so good. In fact, I'm going to take everything you said and put it into a document and go and look for grants because that is so
Don't
good.
worry. Want to get grants, yeah, we have to get technical. This is conversation. So you be telling them, oh, financial
Yeah.
institution, there's a nice
Yeah.
gender gap, access
Mm-hmm.
to finance, rural,
Yeah.
urban.
Uh-huh.
You have to break it down.
Don't worry. I'll come and hire you for my support, please.
Please, I'm looking for 2026.
Okay. As we're rounding up, what practical, I feel like a lot of the things we shared have already been like really practical, but what practical counsel would you give a young woman sensing a pull towards leadership or nation shaping work? She wants to do some of these things. She's feeling that as you're talking, she's kind of feeling like really ignited in her heart. What practical counsel can you help her to get going so that she's able to fulfill that desire?
And the first thing I'll say is that, don't wait to be chosen.
Mm.
Like, don't wait for the opportunities to just arrive or, come to your doorstep and all that. You have to decide first what you want for yourself.
Mm.
you know you have to decide what you want for yourself, and then once you do that, that's the first thing you should do. Don't wait for hoping that someone one day is just going to hand you things. You have to decide for yourself what you want to do with your life, with your career, with your business, and how. And once you've decided that, you have to build the competence and the character that you need. Competence in the sense that, as women, we have to like we know we have to be twice as good as the men,
Mm.
to get the opportunities that they get. You have to build competence and skills, knowledge. You just have to build competence in that area or in the areas. You can do multiple things if you want.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you have to build character.
Mm.
And character because you don't want to be that woman that gets to a place and you drop the ball and then they say,
Mm.
oh, when we give
Yeah.
women a chance,
Yeah. Mm.
what they do and all that. We know that is a narrative, but still, you don't want to add
Yeah.
those narratives. You have to be grounded in your character. You have to have values around honesty, integrity, diligence, competence, showing up no matter what, being reliable, being that person that they can always rely on. And then you can't use your circumstances to say, oh, you just have to, you're managing other things, you're managing family and all that. Those can't always feature in your deliverables. You have
Mm.
to be willing to go the extra mile. So even as a married woman, you have to be not always accessible enough that if you have a boss and they need something by 3 a.m., they are thinking that you'll be the best person to reach out to and you get it done.
Mm.
For example, it could present in different ways. And then you have to build your network. I cannot overemphasize this. And when I say network, I'm not talking about, just latching on to people. You have to build relationships, genuine relationships, and you should start. You don't have to think that you need it before you build it. You have to start building it now. You
Mm.
build relationships even when you don't think that anything is going to come out from there. You understand, you don't know, you can't see the future, because I've had opportunities that at the time when I met those people, they were literally just maybe on the floor together in an office,
Mm.
all that.
Mm.
And you have to build vertically, build horizontally. So network with people ahead of you who have done the things that you're trying to do. Network
Mm.
with your peers. Network with even mentees. I don't think there's any position that you are at that you don't have something that you can use to help someone else.
Yeah.
So
Mm.
make it a point to also take on someone and add value to them.
Mm.
Sometimes opportunities come from those people. You don't
Yeah.
know where they will get to tomorrow. And if you are looking at, nation shaping work, it's not, a regional thing, it's a national thing. You have to, these relationships cannot be one directional. They can't be, just in my office, I'm a central bank, so all my association is, it has to be cross sectoral, like across sectors.
Mm.
Banking,
Mm.
government, business, MSN. I don't know if you get my point.
Yes,
Just,
I do.
you meet people everywhere. Your community, your church community is one. Your estate community, for example, is also one. You can build networks, and just the most important thing is in building networks. Values have to align, so it's not just
Yeah.
body. So
Yeah.
find people whose value align, who have done the things that you've done before you, who are currently doing the things that you're trying to do
Mm.
on the same level, who are also trying to even come up to where you are. Yeah. And then you have to challenge stereotypes. So because there are a lot of stereotypes that exist around women. I don't want to go into the nitty-gritty of that. That's a whole different conversation. But then you have to know that you don't always have to do things the way society mandates that a woman should. You don't have to have certain timelines or deadlines, or you can find a way around some of those things. And I'm not saying that, carry placard around and say, oh, I don't agree with this or that, but through
Mm.
your actions and reactions, through your actions, your learnings, your strategies, you're just kind of finding a way around those stereotypes. Yeah,
Mm.
what I'll say.
Oh, that's
Remember that also consistency where you are. So wanting to do great things starts from doing ordinary things, efficiently and consistently. So you don't have to, you know where you are going, because sometimes it may be overwhelming. You have this big dream and you're just in one small place.
mm.
You understand, so just keep doing what you're doing at that small place. But
Mm.
have a strategy. This is the place I want to go to. This is where I am, and these are the demands of where I am. I'll pay my dues here, while also investing in the things that I need to do to ensure that I take one step at a time. Sometimes
Yeah.
you have the opportunity to take big leaps. Other times it might just be one little step at a time for you to get to. to
Mm.
that place. Yeah.
Wow, that's so good. Thank you so much, thank you.
Thank
Um, and finally, what belief do you hope women replace after hearing your story? And what decision should they make today?
you. I think for belief, I think that you first have to believe that you're not too small for anything.
Mm,
You're not too small for anything. You can have a mindset that, okay, I'm growing into this.
mm,
Not that, oh, I can't do this or this is above me and all that. So you have to believe that, you know, and then you have to start, you know. You cannot, one decision you have to make today is start
mm,
where you are, start with what you have,
mm.
start unsure, start afraid, you know. And one of the things that I even realized, a
Mm.
lot of people that we think have it together, they are also just nobody
Yeah,
lived this life before.
I've been figuring it out. Yeah.
Okay, maybe if you have mentors, they probably have passed that
Yeah.
stage and they are now, but at the stage where they are too, they're just getting there too. They
Yeah.
are so unsure about a couple of things, and that helps you understand that you should give yourself a
Yeah.
little bit of grace. If
Yeah.
there's a world president, maybe we all decided that we want to appoint a world president, even if the person has been, oh, president of America,
Mm.
president, yeah, you're just ruling the world for the first
For the
time.
first
It's gonna
time.
come with, you don't know, you've never done it before,
Yeah.
know how it is to you get, so you're also learning. So the truth is, I think young women, you have to understand that nobody has it figured out, to be honest.
Mm. Yeah.
We're all just becoming, we're all just trying to figure things out, with prayer, with strategy, with discipline and all that. So just start where you are, start with what you have. And
Yeah.
like I mentioned before, mastery, and perfection comes from doing. So when you do things and you started something and, oh, on the while doing it, you realize, oh, this I should also do this. Oh, this is, you learn, you unlearn, you refine, you re-strategize, and you get better.
Mm.
So that's what I would like them to go away knowing that you're not too small for anything. You
Yeah.
know, you can grow into anything. So you are growing into this. Have that at the back of your mind. I'm growing into this. I'm not too small for anything.
Yeah.
Start, just start where you are, and know that everybody is just figuring life out. Nobody has lived before and come back again
Happy.
has that experience. Granted, there are people that have gone ahead of you, but at every point in time, everybody at every stage of one's life, we're all just trying to you
Right.
know do what we can. And like we mentioned before, the world favors people who do stuff, you get. And a lot of times the world adjusts when women do, so
Yeah.
just
It's good. Wow, thank you so much. Honestly,
thank
as
you.
I'm just feeling very inspired because I just imagine like when I was younger, if I had kind of heard conversations like this, I feel like, it would have just saved me from a lot of unnecessary like back and forth or just like uncertainty. I mean, at the end of the day, look, you're not going to know everything and things are not going to be perfect, but at least knowing that someone that you're admiring is also figuring it out, I think it just kind of helps you
Yeah,
a
yeah.
little bit. Yeah.
Just
Thank you so, 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 so much. Um, it's been so good. I hope you've enjoyed talking with us because
see, like but literally we could talk for days, but that one is
yeah.
but
But thank you so much. Honestly, I'm very certain like some young women listening to this now and will listen to it in the future, and it will just really help them on their journey. Um, So thank you guys for tuning in and watching. We hope that you've been taking notes as she's been sharing because she shared so many great things. And we don't want you to just write them. We want you to take actionable step. Just try it out. And as you're trying it out, you figure it out, you learn your lessons, you take those lessons and you refine the idea or strategy and you keep on moving. And one day you look back and you'll be amazed at all that you've done. and
Mhm.
all the people that you've inspired along the way. So we hope that we'll see you guys in future and you'll be sharing about how you listened to share one day and she said something that just like clicked for you and just made a big difference in your life. We hope you have a wonderful weekend and we'll see you next year. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year in advance.
Yeah. Bye,
Okay.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye.